Welcome to the Love Where You Live podcast, where we have conversations about how it's awesome to live in Boulder County. And today, I'm very excited to say that I'm joined by a friend of mine that I've known for really a couple decades now. However, I've come over the last few years to know her more and more. Each time I get to know a little bit more about my friend here, I like her even more and more. And today I have no doubt that you guys are going to get to know her. I'm going to get to know her better, and we're all going to get to love her even a little bit more. If you're not on YouTube, if you're sitting here listening, you're dying to know who it is. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my lovely guest, Erin Carson. So Erin, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you, Michael. I love where I live, so I'm right where I should be here talking to you today.
I love that. You do well, and we're going to get right into that because I want to hear about where you live and why you love it and everything. But before I do that, I just want to say to the folks that are not maybe in the space that you spend time and that I spend a bit of time as well. If you don't know who Erin Carson is, this is just the sort of my high level introduction. So Erin Carson, a lot of you know her as just an expert, a superstar in the strength training, endurance, coaching sphere. She's worked with Olympians, IRONMAN champions, IRONMAN 70.3 champions, like you name it, high level. But she also works with folks that are just trying to get healthy, get fit, get going. Just really, truly an expert in all areas. And then also just a foundational part of our community here in Boulder. So if you're still wondering a little bit more about Erin, I'm going to drop this little hint. She also was the owner, operator, and power behind Rally Sport, just a Boulder original super gym that was around. She was there for over 30 years.
I know.
So we're gonna come.
Amazing.
Erin, did I leave a few too many things off on the intro?
No, those are my favorite things.
Those are your favorite things. Awesome. So, but yeah. So this and I'll get to my first encounter with Erin with something I always like to do on this podcast is talk about how I got to know my first exposure to the guest. But before I do that, I'll say this, Erin. I don't have any idea about your background, and I have to know where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, just outside of Vancouver.
Okay. So for someone that doesn't really know that area, tell us what it was like growing up. What was it like to be little Erin?
Little Erin played hard, like just played outside. I'm from basically a farming community, but my father owned a small business in Abbotsford, and we watched that community really grow and evolve. But I've just always been good at sports, and I love sports. And I evolved as a pretty high-level basketball player.
Okay.
And so it was about 8th grade, I started living the dream that I would get a Division I basketball scholarship someday. And I really focused on developing my skill, developing myself as an athlete. I was identified as a young athlete to play on the national team for Canada. And that just kind of made my dreams even potentially more of a reality. I didn't know how it was going to happen or how it would play out, but that was the dream.
That was the dream. So you grew up playing all the sports.
I played all the sports, but there does come a point when you have to specialize if you want to be the best.
Right.
So it was about 10th grade when I stopped playing so much softball, so much volleyball. It rains a lot in the west coast of British Columbia, so a lot of indoor sports because I was a pretty skinny kid and I would get cold a lot. So the gym stuff was probably much more appropriate for me.
Okay, so no hockey.
I played a little bit of hockey when I was younger, for sure, with the boys.
Okay, but okay. So I'm trying to imagine this. So you're doing all the sports. But you said you're pretty good at all of them. You're just
I was pretty good
knack, like a natural ability.
Yeah.
But then basketball was the one that drew you out. Said this is the dream.
Yeah.
And if I work hard, I can be pretty good.
Yes.
How young do you? I'm not going to dwell too much on this, but how young do you start playing basketball? Because it's a hard sport when you're short.
It's a high skill sport. And I was short, and I'm not short anymore. I'm 5'11".
Yeah.
But because I didn't grow until later, in my mid-teens, I played guard. So I was a 5'11" shooting guard. I had a few teachers in my elementary school and my junior high school that loved basketball, and I'm an adapter, like I can learn pretty quick.
Okay.
So I got to play with them, and I like to please coaches. Like it's kind of a big part of my personality. And so when they say go practice, and this is what practice is, I was up for it. I was up for the challenge. I had my mom and dad put up a basketball hoop up in the driveway, and not a super strong introvert, but I'm not a really super strong extrovert either. So right in the middle, but it allowed me to focus on the time I could practice. So I'm a practicer.
You're a practicer.
I'm a gym rat.
But you're also a pleaser. So you're a practicer for yourself.
Perfect for any coach.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very coachable. All right. So tell me this. Did you have siblings?
Yes.
Grown up, you're the youngest, oldest, middle? What's the story?
I'm an adopted kid.
Okay.
Both my brother and I were adopted and from different families. He's 2 years older than me. So just my genetics are different than his. So we're not that close. He's a big hunter and fisher and he loves being outside. He loves being alone. Maybe a little resentment about my famous life of being pretty busy.
And as a kid, were you still close, or did that kind of?
No,
you weren't. Okay, so you weren't. I always like to figure out.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
So you're internally driven though. It's not like you're chasing a big brother. You're just doing it. You love it.
Yes.
Folks loved it too. They said, "Hey, this is a fun activity for our girl."
Yep.
All right. So okay. Now you're high school, 10th grade, you're getting serious, you're getting good, you've got a little taller.
Yeah.
I only said short because I'm thinking of like a 5-year-old. Like when
right,
you're 5,
right.
Basketball's hard. That hoop is far.
Yeah.
So you're getting serious in 10th grade. Parents are supportive. What does it look like to be identified as national?
Yeah, you start with going to basketball camp.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden college coaches are always looking. They're always on the lookout for talent. And because I was a good shooter, I'm a 3-point shooter. That takes a lot of rhythm and timing.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of strength. I was identified in 10th grade as a junior national team player. That immediately put me on the radar for the American colleges. So I started getting recruited in my junior year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And so that means they come up and watch you play high school games.
They come everywhere. And they show up everywhere, and it's wonderful, and you feel really, really special. And the letters come every day, and you run home from school, and you're like, wow, look at all these letters from all these schools. Yeah.
Okay, so you're getting that. It's like on TV. It's as I've seen on TV where there's like a scout sitting in the back, and they're like taking notes, and you're...
Yeah.
Wow. But you're a pleaser, so you thrive in that. You're there. You're just like hitting threes and kind of looking left. I got this. Wow. Okay. So in Canada... 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade.
Yep.
I assume you have 12 grades in Canada?
We do.
Okay, good.
We call it grade 12, but
Grade 12. You know, that's probably smart. It gets right to the point with 12th grade. It's very weird.
Yeah.
So your high school, first off, just on the side, did you have like a killer high school team, or were you just...
Yeah, totally.
Did you lift them up, or were they pretty good?
Oh, we were all good.
You're all good.
Yeah. Rising tide raises all ships, for sure.
See, Erin,
I probably could have done a better job of distributing the basketball, but I did love shooting it.
They all distributed it to you.
Exactly.
Like, okay. We all like to win.
Yes.
So you're there and you're high level senior year. They're dropping letters in your inbox. Actually, at that time, actual physical box.
Yeah.
Mailbox. What were the top 3, top 5 choices?
Top 5, because I believe still you get 5 recruiting visits.
Okay.
So my 5 recruiting visits: University of Nebraska.
Okay.
University of Oregon.
Okay.
UNLV.
No.
Colorado, and Utah.
So I don't, I love college basketball. Love it. I don't follow it like I used to, but when I hear UNLV, that's kind of one of the powerhouses for basketball. Or is that only men?
100%. No, it was a powerhouse then. A lot of the Canadian national team kids played on at UNLV, so that was an important part for me to have in my selection.
For sure.
But I also knew I didn't want to go to California. I like seasons a lot, and that's going to come to the essence of how wonderful Colorado is. And so I was looking beyond my college playing days, and I was like, where do I want to live? Where will I be happy?
Oh, good for you.
And so my selections, were based on human interactions, where I really enjoyed and admired the coach, and also where I wanted to live. So that those visits are really important. Okay. Based on that. And
so, all right. So I mean, I get that. I only mentioned, I'm sure they were all excellent. You're high caliber schools, and I know CU as well. But the spoiler is you chose Colorado. Was it on those 5 visits? Was it 100%? Tell me about the. Okay.
It's kind of a crazy story, but I'll wrap it up really quick. I originally committed to the University of Utah. Okay. Smaller university, great education. I really liked the coach. I really liked the team. Okay. And they were more established. But when I was, my final 2 choices were Utah and Colorado, mountain schools. I just love the mountains. And Colorado, it was the first year for the new coach. So I was going to be her first recruit. She had already come in. She had coached one full season with other players from Sox Walseth, who was the coach before her. And that's a difficult place. That's a difficult challenge for a young person to come into when there's everyone else on the entire team was from a different philosophy and a different vibe. And I'm very intense and worked really hard. And I was going into a program that needed more of me.
Right.
And so Coach Barry Sealberry recruited me. I believed in her, that she was going to bring in more kids like me, that we were going to form a new era at the University of Colorado. And I was going to get a chance to play an important role in that. And so I actually ducked out of my commitment to Utah, which was really one of the hardest things I had ever done. But I made the right decision.
Just a little bit on that. That is hard, and you're 17, 18 years old.
Yep.
And you made that's a brave decision. So the right decision, but what did it look like? Was it,
it's like breaking up with somebody. It was horrible. It was very emotional, but then I was so excited about the choice I made. I just started watching every Mork and Mindy episode, and watch them running through Chautauqua Park. I mean, anybody who lives here, if you haven't watched Mork and Mindy, you must do that.
Or if you
drive
haven't gone
by
down
the
to
house.
Pine Street, 16th and Pine, approximately.
Right. Yeah. So it really anchors in what a tremendous town we live in and how lucky we are.
Okay, so you did. Was it kind of like, it's not you, it's me on the breakup? I'm going.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't spend too much time.
Yeah, I was like, this is. I mean, it was the Big 8 against a Western Athletic Conference.
WAC,
It was really much more competitive and was going to make me a better player.
Yeah. Okay. So CU, here I come, and then what you described. Did it happen? You said, I get to build this. I've got this. Was it kind of like, hey,
It happened, but it took a little bit longer, and it was difficult. It's really difficult because kids would come in. We were recruiting California and Texas really hard.
Yeah.
And bringing in Black athletes to Boulder, which is not as diverse maybe as a lot of communities, was challenging in those days, and it was hard for them to come into Boulder. You get pretty encapsulated as if you're part of a Division I team. Yes. And so we all came from different parts and different cultures, different backgrounds, and that's not as easy to build a cohesive program like that. So without question, Sealberry built an amazing powerhouse within the NCAA. I think we're still living that dream.
Yes.
There's ebbs and flows in everything. But by my junior year, we were making the tournament. The NCAA tournament, both my junior and senior year. First year was very, very difficult. Yeah. But I wouldn't change it for a thing now because it just really toughens you up. Hard times make hard people tough. It makes you tough.
That's right. Well, yeah. And I mean, honestly, it comes out really cliche now, but failures are what make us. We don't get better of having a smooth road.
Exactly. Especially when you look back on it as far as I can now because I'm old.
Well, so since you brought it up, what year did you move here then? What year was freshman year?
No, it's okay. I'm 1984. And it's so funny because when I tell people that, I'm like, you were not born. Like your parents, I could be the parent of most of my athletes that I work with.
Welcome to my world.
For
sure. 84, I know. Well, but I like to get context.
I've been here since 1984.
Yeah, 1984. You roll in freshman the mid 80s. Boulder's a totally different town. I mean, totally different town in some ways. But I'm guessing. I wasn't here.
Yep.
So you tell me. You've got a basketball and a bag, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
You show up at CU, 1984. What's your first impression of Boulder?
So you come on your recruiting visit, so you kind of know what it looks like. But the downtown area, the Pearl Street Mall, is epic. And I do believe historically you can go back that Boulder was one of the first towns in North America to have the Pearl Street Mall or that kind of downtown vibe. It was a huge selling point on my recruiting trip. There was an amazing place. I don't know if you've ever heard of Steve's Ice Cream.
I haven't.
So this is crazy because before they started mixing and making ice cream with stuff in it, like M&Ms, that was really novel then. And there was a place on the Pearl Street Mall called Steve's Ice Cream, and every recruit we'd bring them down to the Pearl Street Mall. We'd get them Steve's ice cream. And you're like, Mom, you go back to British Columbia. You're like, Mom, I had ice cream with Oreos. They just crushed up the Oreos and they put it in the ice cream.
Yes.
And it was like, I think they call it Cold Stone now or something.
Well,
but it was originally, I think it was invented in Boulder, Colorado.
That sounds
like you got to get
plausible.
Somebody who really knows that. So Steve's Ice Cream was huge, and going down on the Pearl Street Mall was huge. It was such a nice, beautiful place to be. The mountains, the Flatirons. But when you're playing Division I basketball, you're pretty square. I'm square.
Yeah.
I was not going out to Potters or to the bars or anything like that. I never did that.
Yeah.
But I really understood
still
that it was very popular. Yeah, no, I like to go on a Saturday afternoon when the sun is up. And,
I love that.
yeah.
Well, it's funny because I was driving, over here thinking about you being here approximately 40 years. And it was an estimate because I just was trying to roughly calculate, you started, well, let's just jump from it then. So you're 84, 4 years basketball, you're in the jam, and is, aside from Steve's, was Boulder a place that you were like, I click here, I want to be here, this is awesome?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% wanted to stay here, and I'm Canadian, so it wasn't that easy to stay here.
It's not.
But I did leave after I graduated from the University of Colorado with a degree in kinesiology, which is now integrative physiology. I went to Europe and played a year of professional basketball. And then I came back and went to graduate school in Louisiana at Tulane University.
Oh, yeah.
And then I went from Tulane because the South was very difficult for me.
New Orleans, nonetheless.
Yeah, I went to the University of Nebraska. And I know it's horrible because we used to chant, I'd rather be dead than red.
Yes.
Because there's such a rivalry
Totally.
in those days, which there still kind of is.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't wait to get back to Boulder. Okay. And I got really sick. Stomach illness from working so much and not living the healthiest lifestyle. Right? Never slept very much. Was an assistant basketball coach at Nebraska and at Tulane. But I came home to Colorado, to Boulder, to heal, to get healthy. And I got a job at this little club called Rally Sport.
1991?
90, wow. Right in there.
91.
Yeah, 91.
Okay.
And we had a downtown club, and I got a job down there. I had received a certified strength and conditioning specialist credential my fifth year in college.
Okay.
So it still was valid. So I could be a personal trainer, which was kind of new then.
Yeah.
But I also sold memberships, folded towels, opened the club, did everything, and I ended up just staying.
Yes.
And I'm in the club business now. That was it.
That was it. 1991. You found your rhythm. I do want to make sure, because just before we started, we were gonna talk about Coach Seal. And
Coach Barry.
Coach Barry.
Yep.
Do we need to revisit with her, or we can come back? She's gonna be on my show.
I think the most important thing to know about Seal, because when you go in as the first recruit, I was Seal Barry's first recruit, and I love that as part of my story.
Sure.
But that shows how much I believed in her.
Okay.
And I also, when you choose a university, you also kind of want to know that the coach is going to be there for a while.
Okay.
And Seal said, Erin, I can promise you. And she came to us from the University of Cincinnati.
Okay.
And before that, she had gone to the University of Kentucky.
Okay.
She got to Boulder. She got the job as the head coach at 26.
All right.
You can ask her that whole story because it's a great story. But she said, I'm never leaving.
That's
awesome. I'm never leaving Boulder. You don't have to worry, Erin, because from what I understand, unless they fire me, and even if they fired me, she said I would probably stay.
And?
She's still here.
She's still here. She retired how long ago, do you know?
I think she retired 7 years ago.
Okay. That's pretty awesome.
And I play golf with her now. We're members at Lake Valley together.
Nice.
And it's she never left.
That's
she loves
so
Boulder.
Good. She knew it just that. Okay.
Yeah.
I thank you. I just had to rewind for a second, and we'll jump right back to where we were. So it's 91. You're in the club business.
Yep.
You're running rally, and as you're a cog.
Maybe I wasn't running anything.
You were a cog in the wheel. So
yep.
As you started that, was it something that gripped you from a professional standpoint that you're just like, hey, this is pretty good? Because you're excellent at it now.
Thanks. Yeah, I was coaching, and I loved coaching. At that point, when I first got that job, all I could think about was going back into college basketball coaching. It was my full identity.
Gotcha.
And there were points in my life where it was kind of like I would have rather said I was an unemployed basketball coach than working in a health club.
Understood. No,
but
I get that.
That shifted for me later, but it was I just became so happy being in one place, because when you coach college sports, you're traveling constantly. Mm-hmm. You're a recruiter for the hugest part of your career before you get to stay home and establish real friends and just a routine of life. And so in many ways, I think I'm blessed that I didn't go get a college job. and just settled in and started really with my heart and passion. I'm a leader, manager, so I didn't want to just be a trainer. I did both. So I was a manager at the club. I could see opportunities within the business as the business was evolving and developing and the fitness business was growing. We closed the downtown club that was right next to the Med.
Oh, no way.
We watched the Med open. That's
right?
how long ago that happened. It's a classic, brilliant restaurant. Still is.
Still.
And I got the job over at the big club.
Okay.
Over at 30th and Valmont, 29th and Valmont.
Yeah.
And worked there for a bunch of years, ascended to the general manager position, and really kind of redistributed how we ran that business and made it a pretty successful business.
I mean, I'll say, so as we kind of just pull from that into where our stories kind of intersect,
Yep.
and this is, anyone that's listening is going to say, Erin Carson, you say the name, and this is a compliment, and it's also just truth. You could go to Australia, Spain, the Netherlands. I mean, you could go to South America, and you find it in the endurance space. You mentioned Erin Carson. They're going to know you, and it's because of what your ability to guide athletes who need a very specific component to their training and well-being, I think. And so I really feel like that's a massive, you're so dialed in Boulder, you're so tight in this community, but your reach is massive across the globe. Would you say that's fairly accurate?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, and I love it. I mean, it's true. And so then you look at it and you say, well, what, at your point, when you're in there and you're seeing that and you're guiding people, at what point do you start to go for and gain the trust of let's just name some, Miranda Carfrey, Taylor Knibb, Trevor Foley, like some of these people, and you can go on and on. But when you start to look at people that have been the best in the biz, how did you start to capture those people?
I think I've always been smart about surrounding myself with really smart people.
Okay.
And learning from them.
Okay.
But whether they're better, whether were my teachers in 8th grade who said, let's play basketball. And I was like, yeah, you're really good at this and you like me and let's play.
Yeah. Okay.
And then when I wanted to be a strength coach, I surrounded myself with really smart strength coaches. And I think I hit the window. It's like blink. It's like those opportunities when you hit the window. And I met some really extraordinary people who were really about connecting other people as well. And because I'm from Boulder, which is an endurance capital of the world, I mean, this is just an amazing place. And Frank Schwarter was always a member at Rally Sport.
Yes.
My entire life at Rally Sport, Frank, I could sit and talk to him for hours and hours. And it really was just tremendous opportunities to be surrounded by elite DNA, like just people like yourself and your wife and your children will be the next iteration of it all. It's so fun to watch everybody's kids grow up. But that's when I started saying, this isn't going to be the traditional strength and conditioning. This has got to be you need some. Like I worked with Kara Goucher for many years, and I used to watch Kara come into the gym, and this is how runners would train for strength. They would come in and they'd grab 2 2-pound dumbbells, and they'd pretend they were running.
Yes, I remember that. Because I saw them and I was like, I guess that's what I have to do.
That is so stupid. Yeah. I was like, that makes zero sense. You just got back from a 15-mile run and you are hammering the muscles that just got hammered.
100%. Oh,
that's not going to make you stronger. And then if you understand all the layers of strength, and you also have to understand fatigue. Like endurance athletes carry a chronic level of fatigue that you must not interfere with. That's because that is the adaptation process of healing. And that's when we get better. Yeah. So my dance in the endurance world, where I think I started really building credibility, was with Tim O'Donnell.
Gotcha.
Timothy, he worked with me for 3 weeks. And under my approach, he felt better than before we started. And we had barely lifted any weights.
Yes.
Because when you have a very, very talented athlete, your most important job is to do no harm, stay out of the way of the athlete, and just try and find the opportunities within that body and within that person that will help them feel better. And so after 3 weeks, Tim was like, I feel great. And he was doing well. And that's when Rinny came into my life, and she goes, I don't want to lift any weights, but will you be my strength coach? And so we found lots of different modalities that Rinny wasn't familiar with. Like she's so talented, right? Like she can back squat, she can hang clean, she can do all of the traditional exercises, but it wasn't going to serve her as an athlete.
Right.
So we just, you have to work around the edges, and you have to be really patient, and you just have to listen a lot. And again, mentors around movement science, there's the window, because we started talking about athletic performance.
Right.
That the strength coach wasn't just the football coach.
Sure.
Because that's how most people were trained, by the football coaches.
Yeah. 100%. Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that it was Tim. It was Tim first. And Rennie, and then again, Carrie. You mentioned Carrie. You grabbed
Karen Adam.
Karen Adam. And so, but that's really cool. Just out of curiosity, did you ever play basketball against Rennie? Did you guys ever try?
Yeah, we used to shoot all the time.
You just,
no, I would just rebound for her.
Okay.
She's the star.
So you're saying you could take her? You could take her?
She's faster than me.
She's quicker. You got a little bit.
But I could probably.
It could be a one-on-one.
We have some fun now with the kids.
I'm gonna make that happen. We're gonna have a little, and then Tim and I'll sit on the sideline.
Oh, Tim's horrible.
And
he's so horrible.
He's well. You said it.
Yep.
I love that guy.
That's the wingspan of a swimmer.
Totally. He's got a good block, maybe, if he gets his hands up. But okay, that's cool. So you're in there, you're doing that, it takes off. I want to say at this point, and this is just where I'll intersect, when I knew you from early 2000s. Amanda was swimming at Raleigh.
Yep.
And she was swimming with the group there, trying to get better. And so we knew you all this time in the background. And then one day I said, you know what? I'm going to go in there. I'm going to find, I don't know if you remember this, but I said, I need to go get a one-on-one session. And I always believed in lifting weights. I always did all this stuff. I did what I thought was smart. I had some coaches. I thought I was pretty strong. I had some good moves, so to speak. But I went in there, and you did what you said. We didn't really touch any weights.
Yeah.
And it was so thoughtful. Like, the stuff you were telling me made perfect sense. And I'll say that here I am. This is probably 10 years ago, maybe 2015, we'll say.
Yep.
And I'm in there, and I'm doing all this stuff, 14, 15 somewhere.
Yep.
And I was thinking, God, this is the most thoughtful, well-rounded approach. And then I also walked out going, I guess I need to train later. Like, I don't really feel like, I don't know if I'm tired, because I'm like this.
Yeah.
Then 3 days, for 3 days, every part of me except my mouth was sore. And my head was fine. But it was incredible. I was like, how did she do that? She worked. And it really was something where I gained from that point on, the utmost belief in what you were doing, because it was just so unique and so well-rounded. So that was my first Erin Carson.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry you were sore.
Oh, it's great. I love
it. Happens.
I love to be sore. I mean, I'll try and book in some time, because I love it. Anyway, so that's where we cross paths, and that's, I think, now a good way to sort of touch on this, what you do since Raleigh closed, right? So Raleigh closed, and tell me about like the day-to-day now, who you're working with, what you're doing, what you offer, how's it look?
Yeah, I miss Raleigh sport. And I don't miss Raleigh sport. The town, I think at one point, Michael, I looked at the competitive environment within Boulder. Yes. I think people had 80 options for yoga. 80.
That's all?
And then there was online, So we were very lucky to hit the window where there were a lot less options, and the multi-purpose facility was really had the opportunity to thrive and be that anchor of community. And you think of how many friends that you make, whether it was at Flatirons Athletic Club or Raleigh Sport, or even at Colorado Athletic Club. Like, I want that model to continue, because friendships and relationships are so important, and that's where so many of them were made, and that's what I miss.
Yes.
But not having a business to worry about has really allowed me to dial in as a coach. It frees up a lot of my energy for the people I do have a chance to work with. And so we found one of my trainers and myself, Kate Ligler, who's another extremely talented strength coach in the endurance space and in life. She's just become a really dear friend, and she moved here from the Bay Area to work at Raleigh, and we branched out and we built a relationship with the folks over at Black Lab Sports, which is an 8,000 square foot gym that it's got no mirrors, it's got no check-in office, it's got no locker rooms. Like, it's just freaking awesome.
It's just
we're there to work, and we're there to become, it's human performance. And so all of our athletes came with us over there, and we've found a really good home there. So
and that's over off Pearl
and 30th and Pearl.
Over by Earl's.
Yeah.
Earl's Saw Shop.
Yep.
That's where I spend my days these days.
We talked about that.
Yeah, you know, it's just. But
it's right
a good
by
spot.
Scarpa
by
and
Scarpa,
UPS
totally.
and
UPS and Sanitas.
Yeah, Sanitas Brewing.
It's a good spot.
Cool place.
So you're there, and that's if I pop in on a Wednesday, you're in there one-on-one.
I try to work in the mornings.
Mornings.
Yeah, usually
Okay.
I'm there from like 7:30 till midday.
Hands-on, leading some group or individual stuff.
Yep.
And then you program people as well. So if you're working with someone, you're dialing their program in for how to train.
Yes, and that global reach really changed with Tim and Rinny because people reached out to me a lot. Like, why? What are you doing? What are you doing? And so I would write long programs and long emails to people all over the world. And I didn't even speak half the languages. And I was just like, here's what I do. I just give it away.
Yeah.
And then I started creating an online presence just where people could buy a program. Right. Like, this is Rinny's program, or this was Tim's program, or this is a program that works for most runners. This is a program that works for most cyclists.
That's cool.
You know, Sepp Kuss was, I worked with Sepp for a while before he moved to Europe and got his big contract. So I've worked with cyclists, runners, triathletes. They all bring to the table lots of wonderful problems to solve and opportunities to help them. But that created my online presence. So I have to work for that too.
For sure.
And that's been super fun. I started it before the pandemic, so I was positioned in a really good place.
That's awesome.
During the pandemic. And my greatest claim to fame for myself now is that every Monday on my YouTube channel at 6:45 Mountain Time, I go live for 20 minutes of mobility. I just filmed my 151st episode.
Every Monday, you said?
I've never missed a Monday.
That's
in
fantastic.
151 Mondays.
But occasionally you're somewhere else.
Yeah, so I'll film it live from San Francisco, Mobility Monday.
After watching the Alcatraz triathlon and all that.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where that reach kind of came, and so I still have to work that.
Do you do
and it's really
foundation
brilliant.
training?
I do foundation training.
Stuff.
I love Eric Goodman. Yeah,
yes.
He's another one of my favorite people.
One of your mentors. Oh, he's incredible.
He's
Santa
incredible.
Barbara.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's in Florida now, but
Oh,
yeah.
he was okay.
He's incredible.
That whole thing changed my life maybe 10 or 12 years ago, and I'm like, what? This thing? What's this about? This is
Well, and just so the audience understands what that's about, like the reason I found Eric and the reason foundation training is cool for me, and I'm not a Lance Armstrong fan, but I massively respect him as an athlete.
Sure.
When he decided to go from cycling to triathlon, he went to train with a trainer in Santa Barbara named Peter Park.
Okay.
And Peter Park and Eric Goodman are very, very good friends. And Peter said, Eric, you got to work with this guy because we got to get him out of the cycling posture and into the running posture again. And it was a beautiful story, and
I had no idea.
it hooked me.
I had no idea. I mean, it's something that if you don't know what it is,
check it out.
Look it up. And folks, you should be taking notes. That is one of them. Foundation training. Google it. Find more.
Word.
Come check out, because it is, I think, life-changing. Whether or not you're an athlete, whether or not you're
everybody
sitting at a computer all the time, just in our it's such a good. It's such
three key things from foundation training is the expansion of the rib cage through the breath.
Yeah.
The decompression of the spine with the breath, and the hip hinge that will unload the spine and the back and allow you to use your glutes and hamstrings and back line much more efficiently. So those are three things.
If you don't know what she's talking about, keep Googling, because that's a great summary. And we won't spend any more time here except to say that hip hinge thing.
Yes.
If you're not doing anything else,
you got a hip hinge
to start, and especially as you start to, there's things when you're gaining a few more years, you're putting years on, and you start to be like, well, I can't believe that I just hurt my back picking up the laundry.
Michael, the essence of living independently when we get older is being able to get off the toilet.
Well,
that is, there's nothing, that's just very human.
Totally.
Right? And a hip hinge is what gets you off the toilet.
There you go. Well,
it also makes you an Ironman world champion too. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
All of it. It is. There's a common thread there, and just that. So really fascinating to me, and I love that you teach that, and that you're good at that. And you understand that. So, I mean, not just understand that you're helping people understand
big
that,
picture.
Really, that's amazing. So, all right. So you do. That's your daily. We'll come to a little bit more of something that is just kind of fun. So. You're in Boulder. You've been here for 40 years with a little intermission. Okay, so you had an intermission.
Got to go to grow.
You got to go to grow. You got to come, and you also have to go sometimes to come back and be like, oh yeah, Chief Naiwa did get me. I am hooked here. I do belong. So you're right. So you're back in Boulder after your foray in other places, and you start to grow, and now you've got, a lot of nice history here.
Yep.
Where have you lived that sort of registers like, this was amazing, this is where I live now, this is how I enjoy the county? It doesn't have to be your exact address.
I'm kind of a North Boulder kid.
Okay, tell me
You know,
more.
and it's funny because I never thought I'd live outside of downtown.
Okay.
But North Boulder is cool.
North Boulder.
It's being able to get out on where we all ride our bikes, where we get on the trail. Like
Yes.
our houses are linked. Like you live out here, I live up there.
Yeah.
But we're all linked on trail. You never have to get on the road if you don't want to.
For sure.
And that drew me there. So I lived at 10th and Lee Hill first.
Yes.
And then I had to move and get a bigger house because I had to pay less taxes or something. I'm not really sure how that works. That's your job. But I knew I needed to upsize a little bit. And I just didn't want to leave North Boulder. So I just moved up four blocks. So I'm on 6th Street. And North Boulder is just brilliant to me. And now it's busy. It's like North Boulder's a thing.
It's bustling and hustling.
Yeah, it's great.
It is. And so
Spruce Confections, you can go get a coffee and a schnicken.
A schnicken? Tell us about your favorite schnicken.
Oh, I just like it's called a schnicken. It's not a croissant, and it's not a cinnamon roll. It's like they had a baby.
It's a schnicken.
It's a schnicken.
So you absolutely read the next chapter in the book, which is something like from your place, and that's it. So Spruce, big fan.
Yep.
On Yellow Pine.
Yep.
You can walk down there. So let's just say you're away from home.
Yep.
In Boulder or Boulder County, and you're not getting your Spruce Confections, your coffee, or schnicken. Where would you go? Is there another place you love? Coffees and such.
You know, kind of crazy, but downtown has changed a lot, and it's harder to park. But
it's so hard.
I do like Wahoo's Fish Tacos. I think that was an amazing addition to Boulder.
Yes.
And I don't know whether it's good for you or not, but I like it. And then I really like Stella Cucina.
Yes.
That is sick. I love that place.
So this is on.
It's my favorite
Walnut?
restaurant. It's kind of a silver door. I feel like I'm in Aspen, what's behind the door. So it's right by Rosetta Hall.
Yes.
But it's just a silver door with an S on it.
Yes.
I'm like, I want to go in there.
So we heard that the person that was going to open it was originally going to have it be a place to maybe sell and smoke pot.
Yeah, sure.
Right. And then they lost.
Not really my thing, but
right, me neither.
It's always been very popular in Boulder.
100, and that's a zone right there. Remember the sink? A couple doors down, but not the sink. Sorry, the Walrus.
Yep.
And so if you come back, the reason I mention that is that the design it's like hidden.
It's hidden.
There's no windows to the front, and then they change. You go down a hallway to get in, right? And then you're in this restaurant. It's fantastic food.
I thought it was
fantastic. Cool environment.
Yeah.
Okay, so but you called out. What about coffee? So do you have another coffee place?
No, because when you're running a business, you don't have time. I really enjoy, and the people that have lived here a long time. Penny Lane was really my jam. I loved Penny Lane.
Yes.
I was like, I'm going where all the poets are.
Totally.
I'm not a poet, but I'm gonna hang with them.
I know. And then it became full cycle.
It did. That's
it was
exactly
this
right.
Is strange.
Yeah.
But
cool. But those were the days before the internet too. So when you were in a coffee shop and there were people and you would chat. And
the good old, totally sit there and hang
different.
out. Maybe have a
I was alive before the internet. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like an adult before the internet.
Well, I'm not far behind you. And I do remember those were good times. You could actually sit at a table and talk to someone instead of also texting while you talk to someone. And so we'll not kind of dwell on that. If you're telling someone you've got visitors from anywhere, they're coming to you from far away or close, and you're going to take them to your favorite trail or your favorite outdoor experience here in the Boulder Valley, what would that be?
I think that there's the beauty of Mount Sanitas is that you can go up the valley with your friends that might not be so fit, and you can climb the ridge for the friends that want a little bit more of a jam, hardcore. So I'm not a big hiker. Yeah. I will say that I went through 5 years at the University of Colorado and didn't even know Mount Sanitas existed because they had us in the gym in the school so much. But when I found it, those are my two just classic favorite hikes. I don't need to, like I said, I don't hike that much. I'm kind of a 5 a.m. runner. That's why we cross paths a lot.
I know.
So get that done. And I also go 5:30 in the morning to ride my bike up to Jamestown, which is one of the most beautiful things. If you don't get up before the sun comes up, you're missing out. This town is before this town wakes up, it's my favorite time.
I'm with you. And I didn't used to be, when I was a full-time athlete,
Yeah.
forget about the early hour. I was asleep. I was recovering 8,
Yep.
10, 12 hours
As
of
you
sleep.
should.
But now,
Yeah.
I'm 100% on board with you. It is magical.
Yeah, it is. And it's my favorite time.
So Jamestown is your favorite bike ride?
Yeah. I'm not, if I go like to my marginal decade,
Yes.
being able to always ride to Jamestown,
You're-
I will have lived a good life. I
marginal
love that ride.
Yes. Okay, perfect. I foresee you doing that, no problem. So marginal decade and all, Jamestown, and then what's your favorite? So you're talking about running 5 a.m. Is that just Wonderland? Where do you go? Do you come out here? What's your favorite running or your norm?
I like Wonderland,
Uh-huh.
keeping in mind I'm the perfect triathlete because I'm not really good at swimming, I'm not really good at biking, and I'm not really great at running. So I'm a
basketball player. Yeah, you could do
basketball
other
player.
things.
But I enjoy running at Wonderland Hill. I like riding my bike to Jamestown. I really like swimming in the res. The BAM people, they do that Tuesday and Thursday morning.
Let's go
jam.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning. No,
yeah.
wait,
Well, I
tomorrow's
don't know if I
Wednesday.
could even swim to the first buoy right now because when they closed the club, I lost my pools, and so I haven't really been in. I was spoiled for so long.
Yeah, well.
So that'll
yeah,
all come around.
that'll come
We're
around.
a little lean on pools in this town right now.
We are. I think you and I have had conversations about that in the past as well. It's like how to get some
It'll all work
some
out.
movement. It'll happen.
Yeah.
But then, okay, I love it though, and so. And I really do think Thursday morning, day after tomorrow, because you said it, I'm gonna commit on audio. I'm
just
gonna go
go
swim.
swim.
I probably won't make more than 1,000, but it'll feel great.
It's so great because the sun's coming up.
sun's coming up.
They let you go. Like they say, okay, you can go swim just before the sun comes
Yeah,
up.
it's beautiful.
Brilliant.
Beautiful. Okay, and so we've covered the trails. This is what it's kind of a fun thing for me, if you would indulge me. So, whatever day of the week it is, you tell me. You and Melissa,
Yep.
or maybe Melissa stays home.
Yep.
I don't know. Either way, but describe the perfect day, start to finish. Just give a little lay of the land there.
Perfect day. First hour, I'm up. The beep beep beep. The coffee's made at home,
Okay.
and that's a big part of living in Boulder. If you have coffee, I'm not from means. Like
Yeah.
I've had to make a lot of good financial decisions in my life to be able to live here.
Well said.
And so
Well said.
cutting the coffee, I don't do the coffee at Spruce that often, to be honest. It's good coffee and I love it, but it's special for me.
Yeah,
So
it's a
I'm
treat.
drinking coffee at home, and then I will walk my dog. And
Okay.
usually I'll try to go over to the soccer fields before anybody gets up, and then we can play ball.
Throw the ball for.
Because you're not supposed to have your dog off leash.
Yeah.
But I'm a very good dog owner.
Yep.
So we'll play ball with the dog and let him get his yah-yahs out, and then put him in his kennel and he'll sleep for a while, and I'll go on a bike ride up to Jamestown, and then I'll come home and probably eat some yummy food, and then I'll go practice my golf at Lake Valley,
That's it.
which is amazing. And then I love going out for lunch. So maybe just grab some lunch and then go sit in one of the parks or go up to Chautauqua Dining Hall, which is one of my favorite places to go have a special lunch.
So good.
And then the afternoon, nap for sure.
Nice.
Definitely take a nap. And then a little rosé in the afternoon with Tim and Renee. They live up in my neighborhood, and they're always game for a cocktail before dinner. And then watch the kids play in the yard, and then have a nice dinner, and probably usually to bed at about 7:30.
7:30.
Yeah.
I have life goals there. 7:30.
Yeah. I don't have children.
That's that is awesome. I
That's
love
my-
that. That's
yeah, it's a
perfect.
good day.
Aaron, thank you so much for sharing. That's perfect. And it's I always think about when you're going through stuff and some of the common threads I've heard people talk. Chautauqua Dining Hall has been mentioned before, but only once. And then also it's just interesting to see because a lot of us are here in Boulder experiencing it, loving it, but in a different way, in different stuff. And sometimes they cross over. When we had Rennie on the show, I think we talked about you. And I think that it was fun for me also to hear her say, oh, without a doubt, if you're bringing someone on, Erin and my husband. I said, well, Tim? I said, maybe. Yes, of course, Tim. But if we go off of that, if I bounce off that, and you said, hey, there's really got to be a guest that you would love to interview, or I would love to hear you interview, who would it be? Or
That I would interview?
You can actually. That's a good idea.
No,
Bring
I don't.
back a
I'm
guest.
not a good interviewer.
Who should we have on the show?
Oh, I think you should have Seal Berry on the show
Seal
for
Berry.
sure.
Okay.
I think you should have Nib. I think you should have Taylor Nib.
Have Nib. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Taylor's in big demand right now, but she's
Maybe.
she's just new to Boulder and she loves it here. And it's interesting because we live at altitude. Obviously, it's one of the big advantages, but and I think we're finding that she does well at altitude. But I think that someone who's relatively young and new and excited and but also she's such a homebody. So she's pretty cool because like when I came here, it was all Trustafarians. It was all trust fund kids. Now we've got so many entrepreneurs. New Boulder is really cool. And I'm so happy when people figure out to live here. And I know that whoever lives here has done something well. They've sacrificed things. They've created a vision and they've lived a dream to move here. And there's a lot of young people that I think might have some really cool perspective on this newness. Yeah.
That right there, soundbite.
That's why
for
Taylor
sure.
would be interesting. Not even, I mean, Taylor's fun on all different levels, but she loves Boulder.
Well, that honestly, above all, because we don't invite people on the show because they're, double world champion, double Olympian. That's
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
But we bring them on because we want that fascination with our town, with our county, with our area. We want to hear their experience and their story. So I'll let her get through the Olympics and all that stuff first. So because she's probably in demand. But
Yeah.
I'll come back to what you just said. That was a really cool perspective you just gave, because sometimes when we do in my list, I always say, let's talk about how it's changed or for better, for worse. But what you just said was really cool. And I'm going to revisit on how you said that. Just the folks that have worked hard and made the decision to be here. I think that's really true.
I think we're a blue zone.
There you go. Like a global blue zone.
Yeah.
That's great. That makes me happy. It makes me feel a little bit better about my health too. And if I could get my posture back, then I'm all on. Okay, so two kind of more things here. One is you knew we were going to talk, and you thought, gosh, we just went through this whole thing, Lovato. You forgot one really key thing. You just overlooked something. Is there anything you wish I asked you that I should have because I did a poor job?
No, you did an amazing job.
Oh, or a medium job. I wasn't fishing.
The one thing that's interesting that I've really contemplated is what's next.
What's next?
And I've looked at a lot of places around the world.
Yeah.
Because I've got 2 passports. I've saved money. I can go anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And I don't want to.
That's great.
And it might change in 5 years. But I truly was so excited to talk to you today, not only because I like you, but also because it is such a privilege to live your dream and live where you want and what you choose. And this is the best place in the world.
That is fantastic. What a great answer. And I appreciate you sharing that. I agree. And I'm so glad we're friends. I really
me
am.
too.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And it's fun for all these years too, to get to know new stuff about you. And so realistically, I think that's where we should end, because there's nothing that's going to top that. And Erin, I will say this. Thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure to get to know you. And I hope that everyone out there has as much fun chatting with you and listen to you as I did.
Thanks.
And so with that, I'll say what I always do at the end of one of these conversations is before the next one, please go out there and do something that you love.